I think that this is a really unique opportunity in the industry right now. I talked previously about how it's a build story, it's a growth story, but again, it's not the opportunity to do it solely from scratch.
Welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm Sandy Laycox, Editor-in-Chief of Leader's Edge. In this installment in our AXA XL podcast series, I talk with Tim Whisler, Head of Wholesale Solutions in the Americas for AXA XL. Having been in the role since January, Tim leads the programs and excess and surplus segments of the business, as well as the wholesale underwriting unit. To get things started, Tim shares his goals for the business as well as his process for getting there.
Our long-term goal for this business is pretty simple. It's to be a top-tier market in E&S, and I say top tier really in two ways. Top tier in regards to market share, but most importantly, top tier in regards to our underwriting profitability. And AXA XL has been in the E&S space for a very long time, but historically we just went to market in a very different way than we now go to market, and then we will go to market in the future. Historically, our E&S business was done more as a part of a broader product strategy. Think of it as E&S casualty being done as part of a broader casualty division, or E&S property being done as part of a broader property division. So it was a subset of a broader admitted and retail focused strategy. And we've made a very hard pivot on that strategy. So the first step in the journey in that pivot, which was actually undertaken prior to me joining about 5 months ago, was to stand up our E&S business across all of the E&S product lines into a separate E&S vertical, which I am now lucky enough to lead. So in many ways, it's absolutely a growth story. It's absolutely a build story, but it's a pivot. It's not starting from scratch. And we have a fantastic existing team in place. We have the products already in place. And we have a very solid, profitable, well-performing core of business to build off of.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what your process is for, working with the foundation, but really building up this business?
Yeah, so we still have a lot of work to do in order to reach that goal of being a top-tier market. And in the early days, at least, we're really focused on 4 main priorities aimed at reaching our full potential. So those priorities are, first and foremost, our underwriting appetite. From an underwriting appetite standpoint, that means creating a clear and consistent appetite for what we do in E&S that's aligned with what's expected of the market that we need to be able to write to grow in E&S. For us, it also means creating channel clarity between what we have an appetite for in E&S and what my retail and admitted counterparts have an appetite for in their divisions. We view it as very important that we provide that channel clarity on appetite to the market. So that's the first priority. The second priority is creating a distinct identity around what we do in E&S that distinguishes us from what's done in the other retail-focused divisions of AXA XL. The third priority is focused on distribution, and that's creating a distribution model that's 100% focused on the wholesale channel, with an unwavering commitment to the wholesalers and with all the requisite protections that are expected by the wholesalers in order to be successful with them. And the fourth priority is absolutely our most important one, and that's our talent strategy. As I mentioned earlier, we have an absolutely fantastic existing team, and our talent strategy is absolutely focused on developing and retaining the best talent that we have today internally. It also means a lot of external recruiting and attracting the best E&S talent in the industry. And I just spent some time outlining the first 3 priorities around appetite, around identity, and around distribution. And I have a very strong view that the best talent from an underwriting standpoint in the E&S industry expect to and want to work for a company that have those 3 priorities figured out. So I have a view that with those 3 priorities further crystallizing, that will increase our chances of retaining our best internal talent and also expand our chances of attracting the best external talent out there in the industry.
We then get deeper into the E&S market, touching on growth, the value of the wholesale broker, and a new trend around the decoupling of rate activity and submission flows.
Yeah, I think as you alluded to, the growth of the E&S market has been staggering and impressive, and in my view, still has a tremendous amount of runway. But when you think about the E&S market going from about 50 billion in total premium in 2018 to now sitting here today, it being over 135 billion in premium, growing at more than 2.5 times over that period, it's very, very impressive. It's growth that has significantly outpaced that of the overall industry. And there's a number of reasons behind it. I think the world is becoming a riskier place, whether you talk about the challenges around casualty and the increased level of excess casualty verdicts in particular, or in property, just the increased number of cats over the last number of years. The world overall is just riskier, and the E&S industry is set up perfectly to address that risk with the freedom of rate and form that we have in the E&S space, with the innovation that happens in the E&S space. And frankly, I think a large driver of the growth in E&S and the sustainability of the market is also the value that the wholesale brokers have been able to bring. I think as the market hardened, a lot of business flowed to wholesalers, and the wholesalers didn't rest on their laurels. They doubled down and invested in technology, invested in staff, and they bring a lot to the table in regards to efficiency and market expertise. And I think they're a big reason why a lot of that business stays in the channel, in addition to just the world becoming riskier and the flexibility that E&S has that I mentioned. So, what we're seeing today is certainly some softening in property from a rate level. Casualty still has a lot of runway, in my view. We're still seeing rate that's keeping up with or outpacing loss trend overall. But on property too, I would mention, just despite it being softening, it's softening on the back of multiple years of historically high rate increases. So we still view that business is still very attractively priced. Despite rates coming down, they're coming down off of historical highs. And I should also note, just in regards to today's market, historically, in some market cycles, what you've seen is as rates start to soften, business then flows back into the admitted market. In this market cycle, we're seeing a decoupling of rate activity and submission flows. So in essence, rates going down slightly in property, but submissions are still up, and the E&S market is still growing. And I think it has a lot of runway, and I think it will continue to grow at a faster pace than the overall industry. I don't think the world's becoming any less risky, and the E&S market is perfectly set up to address those risks.
That's really interesting that you're seeing that trend change with the rate and the submission forms not matching up together. Discussing specific business areas within E&S, we talk about where AXA XL is focused and where they might see gaps for future products.
The short answer is long-term, yes. For now, we're focused on getting our core in place. So right now in our E&S vertical, we write property and casualty. In casualty, we're in both the primary casualty and the excess casualty space, and the lead space, and in addition to the mid and high excess space. In property, we have a robust E&S appetite where we play in the primary. We play also in the excess and on shared and layered deals. So that's our core right now. We're focused on, as I outlined in the beginning, pivoting hard on the strategy, attracting talent, and growing our existing business. But look, long term, absolutely. I think there are many other product lines, whether you talk about the professional liability space, the financial line space, that are heavily traded in the E&S market, and also increasingly so. And I think perfect examples of where the wholesalers have brought value to those markets. And I think those will continue to be very significant portions of the E&S space. And we'll see what the future holds for us there. We absolutely will continue to look to expand the value that we can bring. But right now, we're focused on our core and getting those right before we start to enter new product lines.
And this is sort of maybe a really long-term question, and maybe I'm asking you to sort of peek into the future a little bit, but are there you've talked about how the world is just getting riskier, obviously things are more complex for all business owners. Are there any areas where you see potential gaps in the marketplace where there is a need for a new product that you guys might think about or develop?
I think, look, at its core, E&S is the best space in the industry to innovate. And we're certainly seeing a lot of creativity in the market around solving unique challenges. A lot of that's driven by the wholesalers. Some of it's driven by the markets as well. So, we certainly view that as the world changes and evolves, that E&S is the place that will evolve with it to solve those risks. As I sit here today, I think the market's doing a very good job of addressing the risks out there. I don't see any immediate unmet needs, but certainly, we'll continue to monitor all the activity and the behavior and respond to any gaps that we perceive to be there and take advantage of them.
In terms of brokers' role in the current E&S environment, Tim discusses how brokers can help their clients ensure they are a good insurable risk.
Yeah, it's a good question. With that growth that I mentioned, market going from 50 billion to 135 billion over a relatively short period of time, that means, some of that's rate, of course, but most of that is submission flow. And, when I look at the E&S space, I would say one of the biggest challenges that every company in E&S faces right now is just keeping up with the volume of submissions. The volume is staggering, and frankly, I think it's a challenge for everybody to get to everything. So for a broker and for a client, it's really important to make sure your submission gets to the top of the pile and gets the attention it needs, right? So some of that is relationship with the underwriters, but I think when it comes to preparing a submission, it's about a complete and thorough submission that tells the story of what's going on with the risk, with a good narrative around what's happening. And E&S is very familiar with writing challenging accounts, accounts that have a challenging loss history or play in a challenging segment of the market. So E&S underwriters absolutely face into risk and have the appetite and the capability to underwrite tough accounts. But it's very important for the broker and the client to tell a story around that account and to provide as much information as possible to allow that underwriter to make a very informed decision on an otherwise really challenging risk.
Finally, we circle back to one of the main factors in determining success: talent.
We have very, very aggressive hiring plans in the double digits annually for the foreseeable future. We have a ton of openings today in both property and casualty, and we're looking to onboard the best talent out there. And, I view it by attracting the talent, it's about telling our story around what we're looking to do. And it's one of the reasons that I joined, is that I think that this is a really unique opportunity in the industry right now. I talked previously about how it's a build story, it's a growth story. But again, it's not the opportunity to do it solely from scratch. It's a unique opportunity in that we're making a hard pivot off of our old strategy into a new one, but we're doing it within the walls and with the backing of a very large and sophisticated company like AXA XL with best-in-class financial strength, right? So although we're looking to build and looking to grow, we're not new capital. We're strong capital with a very solid infrastructure behind us and all of the requisite support we need to be successful. So I think it's about telling that story. I think, we've been successful in attracting a number of high-level folks in the early days, and I have a strong opinion that the best talent attracts the best talent, and I think it'll continue to build on it.
That was Tim Whisler, Head of Wholesale Solutions in the Americas for AXA XL. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. For more podcasts with AXA XL and other insurance stakeholders, tune in at leadersedge.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.